Good morning, Nigerians.
Let's begin with this story that was seen this morning. The fact that Labour is you were quoted in the dailies to say the Labour Party was staging nationwide protest. Based on the refusal of INEC to grant the party access to election materials as ordered by the court. How true is this?
Well, we made that particular statement based on the fact that the INEC refused to grant our lawyers the right as enshrined or as pronounced by the court to actually inspect the election materials. Interestingly, even the so-called political party that is assumed to have won the election also requested to inspect this material, which is actually a provisions of the law if you are challenging the electoral process as it were. So we are in communication, our lawyers are in communication with INEC at the moment right now, and then we are expecting that INEC is going to grant that particular position as pronounced by the court. Our position at the initial was that INEC was picking and choosing the court order they will want to grant, and that contravenes the chances of us having an evidence-free process when we go to court to present our evidence against the process in which INEC conducted that election. So right now we are expecting a communication with INEC as of today. They promised to communicate, and then we will take it up from there while we put our machineries in motion at the event that they renegade on their agreed position.
Now, these machineries that you're putting in, would it also entail, the nationwide protest as quoted in the newspapers? And if that is so, why a protest at this time? Are you also concerned about the temperature and the fragile nature of the nation at this time? People have said, look, this is not the time for us to begin to stage protests, that there's a big chance that these protests could be hijacked and, leading to anarchy. And so everyone needs to be careful not to, how they go about, protesting and demonstrations. Are you taking that into cognizance?
Well, those who put us into this particular mental and physical torture should have thought of what the country and how the youth who came out en masse to vote, do they think about how they shattered their dreams of having a new Nigeria that all of us can believe in? So they should have thought of it before even making those particular moves and putting our democracy in danger. For us, we are following the process of the court and following the process of electioneering. Remember, protest is part of the process of electioneering. Once you are disenfranchised and probably deny your right, you have the right to go to court, which we have done. You also have the right to make a public protest as regard to your acceptance of what has transpired. I want to assure you that we will do what it can be done within the position of the law to ensure that nobody hijack our demonstration or protest when we go onto the streets. These are issues that we need to rekindle the hopes of the Nigerian people and make them believe that, yes, we as a people have a right. We're not slaves. We are human beings. And so therefore, if things are not done rightly, the honors depend on us to actually put it right. Because those who are in position of power are using the position of power because we give them that particular power to be there. And where they did not do what is expected of them, it is also our right to use the ballot. And where they deny us, we use the court. If they deny us, we lead a public protest to get them out of office.
Now, Dr. Tanko, people would ask and wonder, the Labour Party came by the declaration of INEC, came third in the election, and people are wondering why. What gives you the confidence that the Labour Party could have won the election, and that the courts would also be able to overturn, the outcome of the February 25 presidential elections? What gives you that confidence, and what makes the Labour Party, that's confident to want to go to court to see to overturn the declaration by INEC?
Number one, our Nigerian youth came out en masse. According to INEC report, 12.5 million of them came out to register to vote. For the first time in the history of this country, after a long while, many people came all the way from out of the country from the diaspora to come in specifically to vote for Peter Gregory, Obi, and Teti Baba Ahmed. This is on record.
Dr. Sanctus, don't you think that that's arguable, considering the fact that these young people cannot all be said to have come out because of the Labour Party and the Labour Party's candidates? These young
Let me go your own way.
Mm.
Let me go your own way. Predictable, but large percentage of them are voting for Peter Obi. Everybody knows this. And you can cite that particular feeling in the social media, which they've transformed into physical being by coming out en masse. You saw what happened in Lagos. You are physically, mentally abused in the presence of security agencies. Some polling booth elections did not take place, and we have been attacked, and people have been told that if you belong to an ethnic group, you don't vote for APC, you better get out of this place. And at the same time, they also make sure, they said that it is either you vote for APC or not. This we captured on videos, recorded voices, and all. We have all of this proof. Aside from that, we also have proof of original certified result sheet of election that took place in all the 176,846 polling units. And I can tell you for sure that we won this election in a landslide. We won this election in a landslide, and that will be proven with our record at the court. You see, what people do not know is that when you lie about something, you're looking for another lie to cover that particular lie. And when you lie about that particular lie, you'll be looking for another lie. So continuously, that was the reason why INEC is refusing us to actually access those materials. They forgot that making those particular statements based on provision of the law, which they contravene, they told Nigerians openly, while we were suspecting that their server may be hijacked, they said no, their server is safe. That everybody that voted, your vote will be counted at the polling unit and election will be pronounced immediately. Look, we had 3 elections on one day. Federal House of Reps, State Senate, and then the presidential election. At the end of it all, what happened? Federal House of Reps was uploaded, the Senate was uploaded. Only that of the presidential election was not uploaded till today as I'm speaking to you. This is almost 2 weeks now that election has taken place. The result of the presidential election have not been uploaded. That will tell you that there's a red flag, and there's something somewhere, there's a sinister motive why that election coming. Look, the Bibas machine is just like your phone. You can upload anything you have right there and then, and it will go. And if you upload, you can also keep those particular records on your phone. You don't need to reconfigure it before you can zoom those particular data. But INEC is saying that they want to reconfigure the whole Bibas machine. It's just like you flashing your phone. That's to tell you that all those particular results will have, or whatever they posted there, or whatever took place on that machine, will not be able to access. And they also went ahead and said, no, that they are going to back up all of those particular information that in the Bibas machine. We agree. Let's even say you want to back up. If you want to back up and you are truthful, all you need to do is call all the political parties that were involved in that particular election and show them what you want to back up. Not do it in secrecy. So for us, the process is skewed, the process is sham, the process is unacceptable, the process has denied the Nigerian people the right to know who they actually voted for, and that is shattering. It makes the Nigerian people lose completely hope in a democracy that a lot of our people fought for, including ourselves here. And we cannot continue to allow that. What it simply means is that manipulation, thuggery, stealing, intimidation will be the order of the day. And if they also pick and choose the court law to follow, what it simply means that you and I can go onto the street and commit an heinous crime, and if we have been arrested and the law said that we should be jailed or kept in a police station, we can simply say no, because a statutory body of government has, what would I call it, a perjury against the judiciary. And so they should have been charged for the contempt of court. In fact, in a normal democracy, the court should not even have listened to INEC except if they have carried out the first order they've given them. But here in Nigeria, anything goes. And that can be very dangerous for any democratic setting in Nigeria. And that's exactly what we are simply challenging.
Now, the INEC says the reconfiguration of beavers would end today, and most likely, the political parties would be getting access to. Analysts are saying political parties should be able to get access to the data from the back end of the beavers. Looking at that situation, and also looking at the fact that the governorship elections are coming up in a few days. What is the fate of Labour Party? How do you believe now? Because some people have said you're contesting or protesting the outcome of the presidential election, but you're not protesting in places where your candidates won the National Assembly elections. You have accepted, the outcome of those elections. Would the same thing play out when we go for the gubernatorial elections and the Labour Party loses in certain areas? Would you also be contesting and accepting some of the outcomes and rejecting the others where you lost?
Let me explain. In the areas in which we are only disputing that of the presidential election, which result was not uploaded, I just told you now, Nigerians are satisfied with the uploading because they can easily fact-check the election result of the Federal House of Reps and the Senate. It is clear. Senate. But what we cannot fact-check is the presidential election. So it's not that we are picking and choosing those people. We agree that the elections in what has got in the Federal House of Reps and the Senate were easily accessible and people can see it because the results were being uploaded almost instantly. But that of the presidency, the results were not uploaded. As I'm telling you, up till now, the result of the presidential election was not uploaded. So which one are you going to believe? How are you going to fact check? How are you going to accept the result when you know that what you're supposed to see, the result, it is not there? I think the narrative should be clear to all Nigerians. We are not saying that where we want. In fact, what happened in the presidential election was allocation of results. And I can tell you something. For example, in Abuja where I voted, we voted in a landslide victory for Peter Obi. The margin of error for presidential and he will even be more because people voted for Peter Obi and Deti Baba Ahmed more than even what they voted for Senate and Federal House of Reps. That I can tell you, you can take it to the bank. In any polling unit where you see an election of a Federal House of Reps or Senate took place and the Federal House of Reps and Senate candidate of the Labour Party won, be rest assured that the number of votes that Peter Obi got is more than what they got. This one is a fact.
So now that the INEC, had refused to access, the party access to, to the screening or inspection of the materials, would you be suing also for contempt of court, like you mentioned earlier?
Of course, we will follow all the rightful position of the law, and that is why we are making this issue public, for everybody to know that we have done what we are supposed to do as a law-abiding Democrat to the Nigerian state, and then to the international community who believe in democracy, that this particular group of people are not Democrats, they are manipulators. In fact, they are committing a treasonable and contemptible action against the Nigerian state. And when we do what we need to do as a people, nobody should blame us for taking actions and defending the rights of the citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We need to do that.
Interesting. I would also love us to talk about the activities of security agents during the elections. Your party criticized, some of the security agents for the way that they handled, voters on election day. What do you say to that as we go to the gubernatorial elections this weekend?
There is a serious level of conspiracy and show weakness on the side of the security agency. I saw vividly on a video live covered by a lot of people who being shared on the television, where an individual was raising fire and storm and threatening that if you come out to vote on the 18th or on the 11th, as the case may be, that you will be harmed, that and that. And nobody has arrested that person up till now. It shows that our security apparatus are weak. They could not trace this particular person. Now talk about the person that was threatening people at the polling unit. It was clear. All the police needed to do was arrest him. But they allow him to be talking and feeding on top of his boy as if he's controlling that polling unit. These are the things that give room for people to feel that they can do anything and get away with it. We have seen in this country where somebody was touting Fullion van in his own house and nobody said anything. You see, in the developed countries, what makes our people go outside this country is that because rule of law is a triumph. In our own case, the rule of law is being put into the dustbin. And that is what is happening. It's only when the rule of law triumphs that you see democracy triumphing. And so we will employ our security agency to be up and doing, to do what they ought to do in the provision of the law which they have the power to deal with. So they need not to be weakened, not to be scared of probably who and who. They should do their duty. They should ensure that they arrest anybody who is dangerous to the democratic system. Because Nigerians are seeing that nobody can be arrested, nobody can do anybody can do whatever he or she likes. That gives them room to do whatever they are doing. And the level of impunity cannot continue to turn because what it simply means there is an anarchy, that there's no control in the state. That is very dangerous.
All right. Dr. Tanko, I understand you have a lot to do this morning. More questions, but I would let you go now so that you can attend to the other things that you have to attend to this morning. Thank you so much, Dr. Yunusa Tanko, Chief Spokesperson of the Obidati Campaign Council. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you, and God bless you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And that's where I would have to let Dr. Tanko go. Join in now with your 2 cents, 09073530044 and 09087668888. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my friends. How do you do today?
I'm very well, Mayowa. Great.
I couldn't speak to you during the morning.
I don't know what happened. The moment you got through, it went off again.
Yes. I'm not so pleased that you have to allow our guests to go. This is the second time this is happening. If somebody has delivered a message, he should be able to get a reply. It is always good to do that. He cannot just speak to us and he will not hear from us. Let me just leave it there.
Well, he's very busy at the moment. He has other interviews scheduled, so you should be able to understand.
It is only in Nigeria that you see 3 political parties winning the same election. Is it not strange to you? PDP say they won in last line. Labour Party is saying he won. And I want to ask Labour Party, I know the guest is still listening, maybe from his phone or whatever. How many senatorial Senate elect do they have in Zamfara, Borno, Kaduna, Kasim, Yobe, and the rest of the north? If they said they won in last line there, see, I think we have go beyond this level where people will just come and say whatever that they like. See, INEC is the only body that is constitutionally empowered to announce the result of an election. And anybody that is doing it in contravention, not even when the case is before the court. And look at what he's saying. He's saying INEC is not giving them electoral material for them to prove their case. Where is the INEC? You see the INEC that is preparing for governorship election that will jettison that and start giving people attention? How is INEC going to do it? The INEC is busy now, and in fact, they need to put extra effort to prepare for governorship and the state assembly election. It's the same INEC that will come and be attending to you. Why won't they wait until the state elections are concluded? See, let me shock Nigerians again. All this noise about the electoral act, the provision of electoral act, BVAS and others, I will shock you, and I want you to write it down today, that this electoral act, from what I've seen last week, it cannot stand the test of time. The electoral act will be thrown away very, very soon because it conflicts with the provision of the Nigeria Constitution. as regards the duty, responsibility, and function of INEC. Because last week, I listened to a judgment of Federal High Court saying that INEC should allow people to vote with a temporary card. What does that stand for? It's telling you that there are certain provisions of the Electoral Act that is not going to stand. And there is also a judgment of the Federal High Court again last week that says INEC is the only body that is empowered to decide which shape elections should take, even the collation of results in Nigeria. Let me go further by saying that if you look at paragraph 15, page 1, schedule 3 of the Constitution, it says that INEC cannot be supervised. There is no institution in Nigeria that can redefine the work of INEC as given to it by the Constitution. Even National Assembly cannot do that. And I said that Electoral Act is an inferior law to the Constitution of Nigeria, and it will be rendered non and void to the level of its consent with the provision of the law.
Maiwa, let's talk about the Electoral Act for a bit. So the Electoral Act, the judgment from the Federal High Court on the use of the TVC, that's the temporary voters card, was drawn out of the Electoral Act, where it says that Nigerians should be able to vote with the voters card. It didn't state whether it's temporary or permanent. So the court is saying if you have the temporary card, you should be able to vote. That's from the Electoral Act. And then INEC also has its guidelines, right? So the INEC guidelines is not an act of the National Assembly. It is the guidelines as stipulated by INEC, drawn also from the Electoral Act, which says INEC has the power to decide how they're going to run the elections, right? Or, what technology they can deploy during the elections. Now, that judgment was based off of the Electoral Act and the position of the Act. So you cannot say that an act of the National Assembly is not a law or that can be thrown away just like that. I mean, I don't think that makes sense, because all the judgments that the courts will be making will be based off of the, Electoral Act in pari passu with the Constitution.
See, what I'm telling you, this is not the first time we are conducting election in Nigeria, and there have always been guidelines.
There have always been Electoral Acts as well.
Yes. And look at the previous Electoral Act. Were they not set aside? Go and read the previous judicial precedent on the Electoral Act in Nigeria. Go read. Most of the Electoral Act that were brought forward have been set aside by the court. And why is court setting them aside? Because they are inferior law. Because this law is regulating INEC. And the Constitution said no institution or arms of government can regulate the duty and the function of the electoral body in Nigeria. And if we are talking about Electoral Act is an act of the National Assembly. It's not a superior law.
All right, Maiwa, we get your argument. That's your argument. Thank you very much. Appreciate you calling in. And more calls, 090-7353-0044 and 090-8766-8888. You can send SMS and WhatsApp messages to 090-9705-4450. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, this is the Honorable Minister of your night.
Honorable Minister of your mind, go ahead, let's hear you.
Honestly, I disagree with that man. How can you tell, are you telling us that the people being lawmakers, being the Senate, we know how they battle? Electoral Act that in there, they battle before even Mr. President to disagree, and the letter he had to sign it into law. He said we should throw it away. Is he going to give us his own law for Nigeria to follow his own law? What is he saying? Even the INEC was even telling that Mr. President should pass it into law, that he will empower them to do their job perfect. Is he not in this country? What are we saying? What did Mohammed, this INEC chairman, Abim Mahmoud, what did he tell us in Chatham House? In UK, he told us that he's going to use, according to when he said Electoral Act, signed by 2022. He came back to make a promise. He conducted the election. Even though when a week before the election, he made a comment. There was a rumor that is not going to transmit a DVAT. He came back and said no, that everything must transmit. And now we stand there. That once you vote, then they will upload it, he will transmit in their National Collection Center. What is he telling us? Even he went ahead and said that beavers have nothing to do with network. Are you not in Nigeria? He said that no network can disturb it. On 4th of February, is it not the day they went for their mock exercise where they mock themselves? I beg, it's too much for a man to scrape off.
Thank you very much.
I meant to do the right thing.
You can offer
allow these people to have access.
You can
offer. What kind of rubbish is
Thank you very much. I told you before, do not allow your emotions get the best of your thoughts. Sometimes we have very interesting, very intelligent thoughts to put across, but we allow emotions get the best of it, and it just messes up our intelligent and intellectual thoughts that Nigerians can actually benefit from. Do not allow that happen, please, because we would not hesitate to let you go if your thoughts step out of line or cross the line with what's acceptable on air, on radio, okay? I'll be taking more of your thoughts now. Let's see that we can squeeze this one in quickly before we take a pause. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my friend.
Good morning. Moses, is that you?
This is John from Suleja.
John, good to have you. Quickly, please. You have 1 minute.
Okay. There is something my worry is against the man that spoke. He said, INEC, they are contesting against INEC, that INEC did not allow them to go and inspect the election results. That is INEC that I say, but I want to tell everyone that it is court that ordered that they should go and inspect that material, and INEC have given that these people should go and going contrary to the law itself, the judgment, and these people the judge have said no. So why is he contesting that INEC have no business with the Labour Party to go and inspect that material? It was the INEC that are stopping them, but the court have given them money to go and supervise those materials. That's my take. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Appreciate you. The conversation continues. Keep it with us.
Me too. What can you really do?
I hope you people are discussing about paying me my rent.
Oga landlord, calm down. We are discussing about the upcoming elections.
Nonsense. Don't tell me to calm down. Your mates are at the Akamata Community Square selling their votes for 5,000 naira. But you are here doing what I don't know.
Oga landlord, do you know that 5,000 naira spread over the next 4 years is just 4 naira per day? Is this what we should sell our votes for? God forbid.
Oga landlord, wise up. We must vote in the right people this time, instead of selling our votes to people who have nothing good to offer our community.
That one is your business. You ladies better go and collect yours, if that will help you gather my rent at the end of the month. Do not listen to people like this landlord. Election is not a business venture. It is your civic duty to your country to help elect the right leaders who will create a better life for you and a great future for your children. Do not sell your future. Do not sell your vote. This message is brought to you by the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the MacArthur Foundation.
Only 100 naira, you enter. Anybody can beat. If you win your bid.
You get what you want buy, but you don't get money. Microwave, TV, I you want pay NEPA bill. Download Yangabeat from any online store. With 100 naira, fund your wallet. Choose a plan for your Get Pass. Start spinning and winning. The player with the highest number wins the bid. Anything when you want buy, you can bid it and win it. Yangabeat, Nigeria's online marketplace.
You can call us on 091 3000 2014. 091 3000 2014.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
You're still on to Eagles 102.3, your radio experience you can count on. And this morning we're talking about the Labour Party. We just had the Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council spokesman, chief spokesman, talk with us, Dr. Yunus Atanko, who says, well, if the Labour Party and its lawyers are not given access to the election materials to inspect based on the directive from the courts, they would be mobilizing the resources to stage a protest or demonstration across the nation. Well, you heard that. And while we're talking more, let's take your thoughts and responses to that quickly, as we also let you know that there's a breaking story about the CBN saying that given the directive that's coming from the Anambra State Governor, Professor Charles Soludo, that the commercial banks have been directed by the CBN to accept the old Naira notes and also issue the old Naira notes. That's not been officially confirmed because, as we know it, the former CBN Governor, Professor Charles Soludo, is not the spokesperson of the CBN. Neither is he the CBN governor. The current CBN governor we would only take that with a pinch of salt as we await confirmation from the CBN because Dr. Soludo said, Professor Soludo said that the CBN governor, disclosed this to him in a phone conversation last night. We'll take that as that's a personal correspondence or personal communication. Hello, good morning.
Morning, my prince.
Good morning, Paul. Good to have you join us.
Thank you very much. Good morning to Chief Yunusa. He has spoken well this morning. I want to say something. You see, sometimes even though we're entitled to our own opinions, but sometimes when the caller raises some issues, we also need to respond. It's our own right to say what is in our mind. I want to say something. Ask Mr. Mayowa a simple question. You see, this Naira...
Mayowa is not even the guest on the show. Mayowa just called to air his own opinion, Paul. I wouldn't want that. We just continue to do our own.
So I need to come from an angle. You understand? So let's put it this way, that the question that we ask here, the things we are trying to address, is the same thing that he has always propagated on this platform. That the Supreme Court passed a judgment on the CBN to obey. You understand? So that is on standing, that the CBN should obey the Supreme Court judgment. So why can't it also...
Paul. Anyway, they say in this country we're selective about court orders that we obey. That's what they say. I mean, judging from examples from the powers that be. They say, maybe you would choose, like Dr. Tanko pointed out, said, maybe one day when Nigerians are arrested and being prosecuted, they will say, no, you cannot prosecute me, or whatever judgment the court passes against me would not stand. I would not obey it. Maybe that's where we're going to. I don't know. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Presenter.
Good morning to you. What's your name?
Sorry, this is Honorable Minister of your mind.
Honorable Minister, you've spoken before. Would you allow other people to speak?
Please, money matter. Please, the thing hook me.
Okay.
One stop me, the governor of Central Bank to clear the air by himself. When did the governor of Anambra State become spokesman of CBN? I beg, people are dying. You know, you heard that your colleague, one of your colleagues, worked with Radio Nigeria in Ibadan. Slump and die on his way taken to office. You understand me? All these things, all these person is a well-known person. But what of in the rural area? Nigerians, you are dying. Thank you. God bless you for your work.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Off your mic. Get the conversation going. 090-7353-0044 and 090-8766-8888. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Moses?
Yeah, this is Moses.
Go ahead. Let's hear you quickly.
We talk about abiding with the law of the land. I want to assure that the challenge that we face in this country is that most of us are lawbreakers. I remember one of my lecturers told me that they went to South Africa when Nigerians had a match between the country and they went for a sport in South Africa. So they were in their room shouting when Nigerians score a goal. Before you know it, a neighbor now called the security and they came to arrest all these Nigerians. Arrest them and say, you have violated the law. And before you know it, because they don't know what was going on, they say, which offense did we commit? Because they were in their own room watching Nigerian football. So they say, you have shouted, you disturb your neighbor. So let's go to the station. So it was when they went to the station to file their case before they were pardoned, because they say they don't know that this is a law against anyone in this country when you are in your room shouting. So they say, which country did you come from? They say Nigeria. So, oh, no wonder. You look at it now. Even if you go to this ordinary Gabon, people that go there are things that you do in Nigeria you can't do in Gabon. So right from the top to the grassroots, who is obeying who? President give order, you refuse to follow. Supreme Court give order, you refuse to follow. Governors give order, you refuse to follow. Even there are even signs on the road, pedestrian signs that you need to follow as an order of the government. You refuse to follow. So I can say, and I want to say from this, that until we start from the grassroots to the top, to begin to educate our people to understand what law is all about. And not only so, anyone who goes against the law to be brought to court, and judgment should be passed on for others to learn. But in as much as somebody committed an offense against the law, and he go free with it, that will encourage another person to do it. I remember there was a law passed that nobody should use siren except on permission, or maybe governor or whatsoever. But you know what amazing thing? A common driver who is driving or car without inside will be opening siren. Some of our security, just like that, will just be opening siren to scare people away from the road. The ground that has been an epidemic that has affected the system entirely. So until we come back to the drawing board to teach ourselves to abide with those laws, I'm telling you, just as you always say, Nigeria is getting to a point where we call it a banana country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Moses. Appreciate you calling in. Let's keep the conversation going. Keep it with us on your radio experience. You can count on. We're talking about the fallout of the February 25 presidential elections. More things playing out in the polity. We see Labour Party saying they're mobilizing. If they're not given access to the election materials, they may be staging a protest. Joining with your 2 cents. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well. What's your name, sir?
My name is Aliyu. I'm calling in Abuja here.
Aliyu, good to have you. Let's hear you, please.
I hail you. I hail the job. I hail the anchor system you are producing to Nigerians. I just want to ask one question about this election matter. Hello?
Yes, I'm with you. We can hear you.
Yes. From what I'm deducing from all these participants at your studio there, is one thing, just one thing. It's not a matter of winning and losing. It's an issue of winning and losing. Where an election is conducted, or even if it's on football field, a loser who lost 1-2, or even if it's 0-1, whatever it is, if the referee has been fair, I think there wouldn't be any problem. Here in this case, why should the House of Reps, Senate, the results are clean and clear, uploaded, announced? What happened to the presidential? What happened to the viewers? What really happened? What made this man, Professor Mohamed Yakubu, to stop uploading of this result? Let's ask him that question. What happened? Because I remember vividly, somebody was shouting, can you tell us if there's anything wrong? He said no, that he should be patient. After the collation, he's going to make a review. Where is the review now? What does that mean? Is it the configuration that is what he means by review, or what is it? The law is clear. This man went to Chatham House. He said no going back on electronic transmission of results. At the National Assembly, he kept on repeating it. The video is there. Then you are telling Nigerians that they cannot ask questions. They cannot go to court. Well, it's a clear indication that we don't have law in this country. Look at CBN, how the locks start. I mean, very, very, very comfortable they are with the happenings and the sufferings. People are dying because of cashless policy. Please, I mean, let's be sincere to ourselves. Do we have God? Do we have Allah? If the professor has know that he came to this world by will of God, I beg, please tell him. Tomorrow could be his, tomorrow might not be his. This Nigeria belongs to Nigerians. It doesn't belong to one family. It doesn't belong to one single individual. Is it not a shame to our country? We call ourselves the giant of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very
God
much,
bless you people there.
Appreciate you calling in. Well, would we find ourselves in a banana republic where no one obeys the orders of the court? Would we say we have the supremacy of the law? That's the principle of what do you call it now? What's the word for it? The rule of law. Do we actually have laws that we obey, or do we just choose which law we obey and what day we obey, especially court orders? When did we come to the point where the courts don't mean anything? The courts, the judiciary is actually an arm of government, which is not supposed to be subservient to any arm of government. But in a situation where the executive seems like they are more powerful and they can obey or disobey, especially when it has institutions under the executive that can do whatever they like. We have a situation where the CBN and even the Ministry of Justice acting on their own, in spite of court orders. We have the INEC also, to a large extent, to be seen to be disobeying an order of the court of appeal. This is not even a lower court. This is the court of appeal we're talking about. Hello, good morning.
My prince, this is Paul calling
Paul,
back.
I'm going to give you 1 minute.
It's like you want us to go to court this morning. You shut me out now.
I didn't shut you out.
I will take you to court.
Please, take me to court. I will decide whether I will be or not. Go ahead. Let's hear you.
Now, a quick one. You see, just like what the last caller said, we should be looking at things independently. INEC does not stand alone. Whatever law that brings INEC or whatever guidelines that guide this election will have to be tested by the court. So if we say INEC cannot obey that court, it means it cannot also obey its laws. So whatever it is that the court, that's what people are always talking about the court. Court is supposed to be the final say, that has the final say over all these issues. Once they come out to pronounce judgment, we should follow that judgment so that our institution will be stronger. INEC cannot stop political parties from inspecting electoral materials. If they have done what they've done, I think these things about Chatham House, we have to stop it. I said it, there was a time we talk about, there's even no need for this Chatham House. Because you go out there, you give us false hope, and you give the world an impression that things will work. At the end of the day, we see things going the other way around.
Yes, Paul.
I'm hearing you.
Okay. In this situation, I'm just going to ask you, as an individual, when you see certain judgments from the Supreme Court, or the recent judgments from the Supreme Court, as well as other courts that have conflicted themselves, even leading up to the primaries, do you have confidence that there would be justice at the end of the day when the court makes pronouncements on these election matters?
You see, it's left for the courts to know whether they are doing the right thing or not, based on the judgment, the principles of judgment they have passed. But at the point where we are, let them start from somewhere, because this judgment that I'm referring to, there are a lot of judgments that have not given us hope from the judiciary. Honestly speaking, they have not given us hope because of the recent one that they passed. And at the end of the day, if we start like this, there's even no hope at all.
All right.
If we start like this, there's even no hope at all. Because we are looking at the end of the day, the judgment about the skewed on the other side, which will not bring justice to everyone. And that's what the court should stand for anytime, any day. The court should be looking at themselves at this point in time, that they need to redeem their image by doing the right thing.
All right, Paul, thank you very much. They say the court or the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. The bashing of, the ordinary man. And if the ordinary man is losing hope in the judiciary, to the common man, does the common man in Nigeria actually have hope at all? Does the average Nigerian, have hope at all? Hello, good morning.
My friend, please, just 1 minute.
Maya, 1 minute, go ahead.
Yes, rule of law is the supremacy and predominance of law. I never mentioned that INEC should not obey the order of court. What I said is that the election materials which INEC will give to these people, that may not be possible now because INEC is preparing for another election. It may take time to attend to all these requests. It's not that you take one person, please attend to these people. That's just what I'm saying.
Okay.
That maybe after the governorship election, INEC will be in good stand to attend to all these requests. But INEC must comply and obey the order of court. Finally, somebody says that it is only presidential election result that is not on the portal. Go there, my brother. You will see some senatorial results not yet uploaded on the portal. People come here and say what they never verified. Go to the IREC portal. You will see both the presidential and the senatorial elections. Some are still being awaited.
What they say, those of the Senate and the National Assembly results that are not there yet were areas where elections were cancelled. That's the general where elections did not hold and where elections did not were cancelled. That's the argument.
No. You go there yourself and verify.
I've looked at the IREV, and that's what, when I ask those questions, they say, most of those places are places where elections did not hold.
They want to deceive people. They want to misinform Nigeria. Go to Safara where they have declared all the senators. Go and check. You see results being awaited. Go run. Take like all the states that you know that all the senators have been elected. Go and check it yourself and come and tell Nigerians. Many people come here and be mischievous with what they say. It's not true. That is the truth. Let's say the truth so that the truth can set us free. You don't come here and come and misinform people. Like Edamaja was saying the morning that 17th order is superior to the president of Nigeria is my God. Children are listening to this program. So that I do not go and write nonsense in school.
Baiwa, thank you very much. Thank you so much. Let's hold this conversation here and drop it here before we get this back and forth of who says and who doesn't say. I'd love to say thank you to everyone who's been a part of this conversation. But again, let's remember the principle of fair play. Okay, if everything is fair and it plays out fairly in the eyes of everyone, no one would be able to contest. Even in sports, when people contest fair play and say, there's not, that wasn't fair at all, people should be allowed to also ventilate and be able to seek redress when they feel aggrieved. For us here, we believe that the legal way to go about these things should be the best way to go. Okay, it's the best way to go. Go to the courts if you feel aggrieved. Do not allow this country descend into anarchy. Do not allow this country, be set ablaze. Recall that this was how every violence and every form of violence, rather, that has ever happened started off, with these small skirmishes and these, pockets of grievances not properly directed. And so please, as much as we want to protest or demonstrate and all that, let's keep it within the law and ensure that we first look at Nigeria as our only country that we cannot allow to go up in flames. Thank you everyone who's been a part of the conversation this morning. We'll continue to have intellectual conversations like this. That's what it is. That's what it should be to move this country forward. Thank you again. My name is Ihia Natural Prince. This is Sonny Okosum from way back in the 1980s, coming in with Which Way Nigeria. Everything that he said, almost everything in the song, still playing out in today's Nigeria.